Stuff from Malcolm and his panel there. Thank you so much for that. What we're going to do now is we always get questions on what's the journey going to be like. Of course, everyone who's embarking on the journey wants to get as much insight to that as possible. So we put together a few different customer case studies for you to understand what some of these journeys look like, what some of the experiences like, and etc. So our first one is from Andrea Werung of Apogee. Andrea takes very much a governance first approach to the work she's doing, and she's actually part of the governance panel, which is going to be up next. Andrea's implemented governance in MDM before and has a wealth of experience, which I think you're going to see as you hear her talk about it. So over to you, Andrea.
Hello, my name is Andrea Waring. I am the Director of Data Strategy and Governance at Apogee Enterprises. Apogee is a 70-plus-year-old company that's mostly known for architectural glass, our services where we help construction companies, so architectural construction companies, and large-scale optical businesses with custom framing, fine art, engineered optics, etc. So if you are in a big city and you see very tall high-rises, or you see hospital buildings or university buildings, there's a very high chance that that is one of our windows hanging from that building. As the Director of Data Strategy and Governance at Apogee, I'm responsible for establishing the data governance framework, as well as the master data management processes at Apogee. I've been with Apogee now for just over a year. And when I started, I was a one-person show. So this is a net new capability for Apogee that I'm really excited to bring to the company. Prior to Apogee, I had 25 years of experience at a CPG company in Minneapolis. And I ended my career there with 5+ years of data governance and master data management experience, where I transformed the master data management organization from an IT space into a standalone global data governance organization. So I was really excited to bring this skill set to Apogee and start the journey with Apogee to get them on the data path as well. When I joined Apogee, they were in the process of transforming from a holding company with several different companies into an organization that was driving centralized operations from the headquarters perspective. The CEO and board had decided to change that strategy, and they started with certain functions, including procurement, HR, finance, and IT. And as you can imagine, it was almost as if we had several mergers and acquisitions happening at the exact same time. But it was all internal within our own walls. But each of those different business silos not only had their different business processes, but they also had their different data systems, including their own ERP systems, their own HR systems, et cetera. So the immediate need that they brought my role in for was to help the central procurement organization, as well as help one of the business units that was collapsing 3 business units into one. And they wanted to run that business as one organization. Those 3 businesses all had their own separate systems, their separate processes, separate employees taking care of the information, et cetera. So you can imagine how complex and challenging that would be. From a data perspective, what that presented to us as a challenge was the need to understand where each of the ERPs were holding their data. And we were dealing with very distinct ERP systems. We were dealing with an SAP backend. We were dealing with a KPM backend or KBM backend. We were dealing with a JDE backend. We were dealing with an Epicor backend. So you can imagine how different those ERPs were, the structures, the processes used to support them, the standards, the formats, the level of granularity they were collecting that data at. It was all different and distinct. So I was fortunate that one of the key business leaders recognized that not as a system problem, but as a data problem, and really understood that the data had to be addressed very distinctly and intentionally. So yes, while were also intentions to put in a system project to replace the ERP in certain for the one where they're collapsing 3 to 1, they very gratefully, from my perspective, acknowledged that, hey, we have to fix the data separately. We have to understand where are we similar, where are we different? And so that was the data problem that I was initially brought in to address and form a strategy for at Apogee when I joined a year ago. We looked to an MDM solution to solve our problem because the manual effort that was underway was simply not scalable. MDM was the best way to automate what we needed as we looked to harmonize and standardize all of the data that we were working through. We needed to match like suppliers. We needed to create one source of the truth that could be referenced by downstream systems as well as our analytical systems. We also needed a solution that we could extend in the future to other domains because supplier is only the start for us. We believe that we are going to be able to expand the work that we do into other domains, but we needed to have a success story to demonstrate the value that could come from this. And so it was based on my prior experience with MDM solutions. It was that we needed this tool to enable us to move forward. This was the foundation for the work that we needed to do and to demonstrate to the business the value that we could bring. We selected Prophecy due to the fact that it came highly recommended from the consultants that we were partnering with as we were evaluating all the solutions, as well as the fact that it scored very highly in the weighting criteria that we placed in our evaluation. We were looking for a tool that would allow us to be very flexible in how we designed our models. Every domain is not the same from customer to customer. And while things are very similar, we needed the ability to custom build what we needed in order to demonstrate the value for our business and to be able to very quickly and agilely make changes as we learned different things about the various business units that we were supporting. We also had a heavy need for that analytical MDM capability, that harmonization and standardization of data from a variety of different source systems, which is becoming more and more common as people consider MDM solutions, but is still very different than the traditional MDM approach that a lot of organizations take when they start to evaluate MDM solutions. And for us, Prophecy was the tool that stood out the most when it came to that capability of being able to pull data in from a variety of different systems and create that one source of truth that can then be passed down through to the other systems or to the data lake platforms that need that data. The project is going very well. We launched the tool in February as the harmonization and standardization capability. So we had all the data loaded into the Prophecy system from all of our various ERPs, and the work started. We are currently in the process of having the discussions with the business about the value of the data. And that is one key point I would emphasize is the business is just now starting to understand the work we have ahead of us. And that is an interesting journey to be on along with the business, because I think our business partners at times believe that we are going to put the MDM solution in place and their problems are going to be magically solved. We are going to spit out those golden records and we are done and they can check it off and just use it. What we're finding is as we are using Prophecy, our business is starting to understand the amount of work that we have due to data inconsistencies. And the only way that we could get the business to really understand that is by showing it to them. And Prophecy is enabling us to show them the amount of information we have, where lo and behold, we have suppliers that have been used across many of our different businesses, but they have just different information. They have different payment terms. They have different payment methods. They have possibly different remit to addresses. I think our business went into this with the idea that they were all completely different. They had different suppliers. They had different people they were dealing with, and it was just going to be a slam dunk. I think our chief procurement officer, our chief financial officer, and others were shocked when I showed them the first matching results. And we had so many that were overlapping, but lo and behold, we had data discrepancies. And that needs discussion. That needs to be driven and prioritized, and work needs to be done either with the supplier or internally to line up on where are we going to be the same and where are we going to be different. Prophecy is allowing us and enabling us to very intentionally make decisions about that. Because the other thing I will point out is that as an MDM team, sometimes we walk into it believing there should be one version of the truth for everything. What is the one answer to this? What we are also discovering is that we have multiple versions of the truth. And that's okay. But we have to be very intentional and deliberate about when is it okay to have multiple versions of the truth, and when do we need to drive towards one version of the truth. And we are at the point now where those discussions are happening. And we just launched our Supplier Data Domain Council to bring all of the people to the table to have those discussions, to make sure before we make any changes, we have evaluated how that change is going to impact all of the groups that touch or are impacted by that data as it flows through the steps of the process. So this is resulting in very rich discussions, very deliberate decisions, and it's helping the business understand that this is a journey, this is an investment, and that this platform is enabling us to make those decisions and to take those steps. My advice for others that are starting down the MDM path is to recognize that the implementation of an MDM solution is truly the first step of a very long journey. And the work really begins when the platform is available for you to get in there and start looking at that data. And that is where the value really becomes, and helping the business understand that. So many MDM projects are initiated with an end date. And when is the project going to be done? When can we check it off and move on? And with MDM, more so than anything, it's an investment in your company, and it's a capability that you are building. And the business, helping the business to understand that this is a commitment that they're making as well, and a capability that you're partnering with them on to ensure that you have a solid foundation for your master data going forward that will continue to evolve and continue to need attention and love and care, is really the biggest piece of advice that I can give. As I reflect back on the journey that we've had with MDM, and I see how far we've come in the engagement of the business and how much better the business can relate to data now, I am so incredibly excited about continuing this journey with them and seeing that how the changes we're bringing drive true business value as they continue to transform the businesses and the journey that we're on. And being able to connect our MDM story to those business wins is one of the most rewarding career experiences for a data professional.
Excellent. Thank you, Andrea. Lots of great insight there and lots of great experience. And as I said, Andrea is going to be joining us on the governance panel that will be starting in just a few minutes. Before that, though, we're going to hear from Ryan Nishaw of Boyne Resorts. Ryan and his team have the interesting task of pulling together customer information from many different systems that were never intended to work together. A very common problem, but not an easy one to solve. So let's hear from Ryan on how they're going about that.
My name is Ryan Nishaw. I'm enterprise architect for Boyne Resorts. Boyne Resorts is a ski resort company. We operate a number of resorts across North America, primarily focused on ski, but we also offer golf and spa, lodging, and other activities as well. Part of my role at Boyne Resorts is to help ensure that we're selecting the right applications in the technology stack, and that those applications are working well and talking to each other, so that we can deliver the best guest experience possible. As enterprise architect for Boyne Resorts, one of my roles is to help to make sure that we're selecting the right pieces of technology in the environment for the business needs, and that we're selecting those pieces of technology and helping them work well together to deliver a good guest experience. Boyne Resorts is a business that's centered around customer interaction. We struggled with being able to get a full view of who our customers are. That means that we have to typically transact with the customer across multiple different systems, and those systems don't always talk to each other very well. It's really important for Boyne Resorts to understand its customers, first of all, to give a good guest experience to them, but also to know that we're offering the right products and services that our customers are enjoying. So knowing which customers are going where and buying what is really quite critical. one of the challenges we really have from a technology perspective is that we have to operate a number of different systems in order to function as a business and to provide the guest experience that we want to provide. I think of it like almost operating miniature cities, especially the full service resort properties. These properties have a need to operate hotels and lodging, food and beverage restaurants. We have to be good at that. We have to offer retail capabilities. We have spa facilities, of course, the ski experience and golf experience. And all of those different things require different pieces of software to operate those lines of business for their specific needs. And it's very much a number of different silos of data that don't talk to each other out of the box. So we had this customer data available to us. It was just in many different corners of our environment. And we really struggled with trying to bring that stuff together to be able to see that full view of the customer. The usage of the customer data that would be combined using a master data management tool really has a number of different use cases for us. We found that not only was it valuable from an analytics perspective, so looking at products and services, what's working, what's not, where our customers are going, or from a marketing perspective, being able to personalize our marketing communications, but also from an operational perspective, we found that there's value in this data. How can we make the guest experience better using this data? And the guest is interested as well in knowing things like an itinerary, where they have reservations and what ski lessons they have and when, or when their spa appointment is. This can be valuable information to the guest as well. So there's a lot of value in starting with identifying this customer across these different systems first and foremost, because then we can start attaching these other data points that then snowball into this value return for us from a data perspective. Well, we looked at a number of different options in the marketplace, and one of the things that drew us to Prophecy was its emphasis on quick time to value. In addition to the customer use case being a fairly bread and butter use case for Prophecy, it seemed to be something that they were very comfortable at doing, and the cost was reasonable. And those things combined really seemed to set Prophecy ahead of the other options we were looking at in the marketplace. Well, we've been live on Prophecy for about 2 years. The initial phase of implementation focused on building out Prophecy for analytical use cases and business intelligence purposes. And that was a good start, but along the way, we've decided we want to take advantage of this data from an operational perspective. And doing so does require a bit of a change to our integration approach that we took in the first cut. So we're in the process now of updating some of our integration patterns. And just for the fun of it, we're deciding to move Prophecy from the self-hosted PaaS environment to the software as a service environment, the cloud-hosted environment along the way. So we're able to take advantage of some of the newer integration patterns in and out of Prophecy using APIs and webhooks, some of the more modern technology, and leverage that. So it's going well. We're excited to hopefully launch that soon in the next couple of months and be on our way to even more value from the Prophecy system. So when I think of my work on this project, what really gets me excited is the potential that this could really push us forward to a whole new level of technical maturity as an organization, level of maturity that we haven't had before. We've, for years, implemented systems and operated systems, but struggled to get them to talk together. But a project like this, where we're taking a tool that gathers this customer data from these various systems and bring this stuff together, and the capabilities that it has potential to unlock for us is something that's really exciting. And I'm really excited to see the different ways we're going to get value out of this data and the different ways that we can contribute to improving the guest experience going forward.